Here's a question for all you busy, intentional mamas out there. How do you be all that you want to be and need to be for those that are counting on you, and find time for you? Find time for yourself and the things that are important to you. That is the conversation I want to start today and continue throughout the month. Hi, I'm Kenna. I help parents inspire an environment of learning in their home, and I'm glad you're here. First of all, I just want to recognize how much you do. How much you do that goes unseen, unnoticed, and how much it matters. And so those sacrifices that you make, they're worth making, right? So this conversation about taking care of you isn't to talk about at the expense of the other things, but for those other things and for you and for the balance. I just want to acknowledge that the struggle is real, right? That there's always more on the to-do list than we can possibly finish. And that we are constantly striving to find the balance between meeting our own needs and helping those around us in the roles that we have chosen and that we are engaged in. We care, right? As mamas, as intentional homeschool mamas, we care about being and doing the things that matter to us. And some of those things are personal things like, how do I find time to study myself, right? How do I find time to plan for the homeschool day? How do I find time to take care of me when I feel like so much of my energy is going to take care of others? And I think we do need to find that balance, that replenishing balance where we're giving and we're taking, and it feels whole, right? It can't all be give and it can't all be take. Life is full of wholeness when we have a combination of both. And that actually leads me to the first point that I want to talk about today in this video, is simply the idea of interdependence. I believe that interdependence is important for a balance in a family culture. So let's define that a little bit. So what I mean by interdependence is that we are not completely standing alone on a rock, right? No man is an island, right? We need each other. And we are not just leaning on everybody else, totally dependent either, but we find the balance of interdependence where we are better together, right? We are better together than we could be separately because we're each giving so much of ourselves, but what everybody else is giving, we're also able to receive and hold on to and use as a support, so that together we are actually able to do more, individually even, than we could if we were trying to do it all alone. And that if we're striving for interdependence, then we won't feel like we have to do it all alone, and we also won't feel like a victim when other people don't do it for us, right? There is a balance there where we get to own what we can do. We get to give the way the things we cannot control, but we also get to accept all the things that are given and expect a lot as well as an interdependent family culture that supports and helps each other, and that I support and help the people in my family and the people in my family support me. I actually feel like this balance does give us more than we could do otherwise. Simple example. So me being on a YouTube channel is a little bit out of my comfort zone, right? But my kids are so supportive, and they will cheer me on, and they will encourage me when I'm going to record the videos. Good luck, Mom. Good job, Mom. And just that amount of support where it is time away from them, but I feel their support and they are willing to give that to me, and I can receive that, makes me feel more comfortable in my own shoes, makes me feel more able to do the things that I feel are my right next step to do. Likewise, and you know this, as mothers, we give a lot to our families, and I spend time driving people to things. I spend time giving lessons. I spend time listening, always listening to the things that they want to share and tell, and so we do give a lot of ourselves as well. And that beautiful balance of give and take is what makes balance in our family culture, and what makes it so that we don't feel drained, but we also can feel replenished if it goes both ways, and we can feel it both ways. And you know, I think even babies can do that, right? Mothers give so much to their babies, and babies are helpless. They can't do a whole lot back, but they can, right? Like that moment when they smile at you, just the grasping on your finger. I think they do it in a way that is different as they get older. But even still, if you find those moments that the baby replenishes you, like notice those moments. And that is interdependence, right? When we can be replenished by the very thing that we are giving so much to. And this can apply in many areas of life, right? It can apply in our energy levels, like giving our energy and receiving others' energy. It can apply to our home culture, how each of us has a role in the home and we work together interdependently to make it work. It can apply to our education and how we have a role in our children's education, and they also understand that they have a role in their education and that they own that role, right? And so that interdependence can manifest in a lot of different areas within our home. And so just thinking about that and defining that a little bit for you in your home, and are you in a place of balance, of interdependence, or do you feel like you have to be the independent one, or do you feel like a victim because other people aren't doing their part and that feels dependent, right? What is the balance, and how can you start a conversation or even just, start a self-reflection to figure out what that balance would feel like to you and what's in your control and what might be something you can do to work towards that balance of interdependence so that you do feel like you give, but you also receive, and it's a replenishing sort of relationship. The other thing I want to talk about, the other idea I want to talk about today, just to start this conversation and to start our wheels all thinking about this idea of finding time for you, is simply that small amounts of time add up. And if we're using the small amounts of time, then you'll be surprised how much you can get done. So, for example, I remember when I was a busy young mother with lots of little tinies, and I felt like anytime I sat down to read a book, I was called away by a baby, or my toddler would come with their own book to sit by me and ask, for me to read. And I felt like I didn't ever have time where I could just sit down and read and sit down and study for myself. And it was hard to carve out that time. And somebody said something to me once about this very thing I'm sharing, that small amounts of time add up, and I realized that I needed to shift my perspective, and if there was a small amount of time, I would use it, because I found myself not even using the small amount of times because I thought, I won't have time right now because I have to do this in a few minutes, or I just know that the baby's going to wake up in a few minutes, or whatever else it is, but I wouldn't even begin because I knew it was a short amount of time. And after that conversation, I actually shifted that. And anytime I thought, I have a moment to read, I didn't talk myself out of it by telling me it was a short amount of time. I would actually open my book and I would read maybe for 4 minutes, right? Or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10. And it added up. And I actually was able to get more done than I thought, just simply because of that shift in perception that small amounts of time can add up. And that can, apply to us trying to learn something or study something, or us trying to develop a new talent or skill, or it can apply to our self-care and actually doing things that are, good for our health, good for our body, good for our mind, good for our heart. So you can take those small moments to do what is most needful for you at that moment, and just know that those small moments do add up, that they count, and it will replenish, it will turn into more than you think possible because those little moments add up. So for today, let's just leave it at that. And let's start the conversation again next week. If you want to subscribe, do so, and so you can be reminded when the new videos come up, and we will be talking about the mom. We will be talking about the mom in the homeschool this month and how to find time for the things that are important to you. Thanks for watching. Here's to you. Here's to you, homeschool mama. You do a lot. I see you. I feel you. Here's to you. You've got this.